The Denver Broncos could absolutely shake up the entire landscape of the draft by making this move. I understand that there is a large sector of Broncos country that wants the team to trade up and draft Ashton Jeanty. Jeanty came out in a recent interview and said that the Broncos had spent a lot of time with him in the pre-draft evaluation process. Additionally, he put out a tweet recently where he said that football is a tackle sport and you probably should draft the guy that you can't tackle, and that fired up a large sector of Broncos country. Another report came out recently indicating that the Las Vegas Raiders, who were previously the betting favorites to draft Ashton Jeanty, might not go with him after all. Instead, they could draft Armand Membo, the tackle out of Missouri. In that given scenario, Jeanty could slip down to the Carolina Panthers with the number 8 overall pick, and the Panthers might be willing to trade down given the fact that they've got a guy in Jonathan Brooks who is coming off of an ACL tear, but they feel very confident about him moving forward as their RB1. So let's say that Carolina wants to take advantage of Jeanty slipping down and they end up trading down. Denver could be the team that comes up and pounces. I want to bring in this tweet that's been circulating. It came originally from Bleacher Report Gridiron. It's a mock trade where the Denver Broncos come up to number 8 and they draft Ashton Jeanty. They would give up the 20th overall pick, the 51st overall pick, and the 85th overall pick, and they would get the number 111 overall pick in return. So I gotta be honest, man, just already, this does not sound like a fair trade for the Denver Broncos. That would leave them really short in draft capital. I went ahead and ran this through the PFF mock draft simulator, and they actually approved it. They said it was a good trade, but let's look at what you have left in terms of draft capital if you're the Broncos if you make that trade. You've got 2 4th-round picks, and you've got 3 6th-round picks. That's it. That's the only draft capital that you have left. And you still have remaining needs on this roster. Inline tight end, defensive line. You could argue to an extent linebacker if Alex Singleton doesn't bounce back from his injury and Drew Sanders doesn't pan out. This team has needs. They still need depth. And in rounds 2 through 4 especially are where you can acquire some elite level depth, even starters. And you're giving up that draft capital. That just doesn't make sense to come up and get one player when you have such a deep running back class. This is such terrible value as is for the Denver Broncos, and it gets worse. I want to bring in this reply to this from Benjamin Albright. You're a whole nother first-round pick lighter there in that trade, so bro, you would have to give up another first-round pick, your first-round pick next year, to come up and get Ashton Jeanty. This is unforeseen for a running back. You don't ever give up that kind of draft capital for a running back. And the Broncos didn't even give up that kind of draft capital last year for a quarterback. Bringing in this tweet from Albright again, the Broncos are not trading into the top 10 or up in general for a running back. They didn't budge for a quarterback last year, and they knew the guy that they wanted in Bo Nix. And they were slightly afraid that someone would get him ahead of Denver. Side note, Benjamin continues, no one is moving from the 20s into the top 10 without giving up their first this year, their first next year, and more. Stop with the silliness. This is just a ridiculous scenario that needs to die here in Denver. Ashton Jeanty is not coming to Denver. Just because they spent time with him in the pre-draft evaluation process doesn't mean anything. In fact, they're probably thinking he's going to be drafted by a division rival in the Raiders. We want to get as much information as we can about this player because we're probably going to have to face him twice a year. And I do not believe that the Raiders are going to pass on Jeanty. I was hearing down at the Shrine Bowl in Texas in January that the Raiders were smitten with Jeanty, and it was either going to be the Raiders or the Cowboys that would ultimately draft him. And the Raiders, with Pete Carroll being there, his obsession with running the football, and Jeanty being probably the closest thing you're going to get in modern football to Marshawn Lynch, I don't understand why they wouldn't make this move. It just feels like a Pete Carroll draft pick through and through. So all of these reports coming out about the Raiders passing on Jeanty feel like a smokescreen to me on the part of the Raiders. I think that they're going to take Ashton Jeanty. It's a no-brainer. He's the best player available. He's the last remaining piece on that offense that they really need. They need a dynamic running back, and Ashton Jeanty certainly would be that. I understand that people want Ashton Jeanty here. I agree, it would be a hell of a lot of fun, but it's just not realistic giving up basically your entire mid-round draft capital to go up and get him. That would be the modern-day equivalent of Mike Ditka literally trading away his entire draft in 1999, plus his first-round pick in 2000 to come up and get Ricky Williams, and that did not pan out, albeit due to some other issues with the NFL's non-acceptance of cannabis at the time, but again, man, that did not work out for New Orleans, and it cost Mike Ditka his job. The Broncos are not that stupid. Sean Payton is not that stupid. They are not going to make this move. So I am curious, Broncos country. Let me know in the comments section below. How would you feel if the Denver Broncos were to make a honestly kind of ridiculous trade and go up and get Ashton Jeanty? I know that a lot of people like Jeanty, but there's going to be plenty of good backs that will be available later on in the first round if you are absolutely insistent on going first round running back. There's going to be an Omarion Hampton probably there at 20. There's going to be a Travion Henderson that's going to be there at 20. And then when we get into the second round, you've got guys like Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins. There's going to be so many good players that have RB1 upside that you can draft. And in the first round, you can add a defensive tackle. You can add a wide receiver, even though I don't think that's the direction they go. You can add a tight end. You can fill those remaining needs that you have on your roster. And you can bring in your starting running back later that probably isn't going to be much less of a difference maker than Ashton Jeanty would be. You can still get really good value in the second, third, hell, even the fourth and fifth rounds with this running back class. It is that deep. So in a historic running back draft, it makes no sense for me for the Denver Broncos to go up and make this move. But I am curious about your thoughts on this Broncos country. Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you as always. And before we get out of here, I would love to tell you about the affiliate partner for today's video, Whitebeard Signworks. Use code BS30, link in the description below, to save $30 off your first purchase on authentic NFL team logo signs just like this one behind me. Really cool, made with wood. They're sturdy, they're stable, they light up at night. Awesome addition to the man cave, or just an awesome addition to anywhere in the house in general. So use code BS30, link in the description below, to save off your first purchase from Whitebeard Signworks. Thank you so much to them. And until next time, Broncos country, I am your host, Gage Madrid. I cannot talk today. Saying peace out, and we will see you at the draft festivities. Remember, 3-day stream. Be there or be square.